Orlando Amigos, take one.
Amigos, we made it!
It's August, which means spooky season is right around the corner.
That's right, and Universal Studios Orlando has officially announced the Frequent Fear Pass is back!
Okay, we're gonna make this super easy for you guys. We're gonna do three things. We're gonna look at average nightly ticket prices for the last few years. So HHN 27 through this year, HHN 30.
Yeah, so basically we just compiled single night ticket prices from 27 to 30 and made it into a Excel graph.
Then we're gonna look at the 4 frequent fear passes. Try to say that 3 times fast. And look at that across a calendar with the prices.
Yeah, so having it on the calendar makes it more easy for us to relate, especially because, you know, we work, we gotta make money.
Finally, we're gonna go into a little bit of information about the latest house revealed. What's it called?
HHN ICONS Captured.
The first pass option is the Rush of Fear, coming in at $129.99 per person. It gets you the whole month of September. Here's our calendar. You get every date in September. So it starts opening night on Friday, September 3rd, which is the first weekend of September, Labor Day weekend, and that's 16 total nights. So it's called Rush of Fear because you gotta rush in there, get all your fun in before the end of September because, hate to go Disney, but like Cinderella, clock strikes midnight, you're done with Halloween. Next up is what's actually called the Frequent Fear Pass. This one is $159.99. So taking a look at the month of September, notice you still get to go opening night, but look what's missing. No Fridays, no Saturdays. However, the fun does continue when you get, to the month of October. And some weird nights here, like not on the 21st, but yes on Wednesday here. So I don't know, maybe there's like a private event. They're giving you an extra Wednesdays, you're approaching Halloween. But this pass is Sunday through Thursday only, no weekends.
Like Justine said, the Freaking Fear Pass, $159.99, but you can only go on Sunday through Thursdays. That might not be a bad thing. If you have like a non-traditional schedule and you're off like on Thursdays or maybe you're off on Mondays, why not take advantage of the slower crowds and have yourself a HHN-rific of a night?
It's time to level up, amigos. Next one is the Frequent Fear Plus Pass. So what do we get with this plus? Well, it's $189.99. So for $30 more, drum roll, you get Fridays. So it's the same schedule as we saw for the Frequent Fear Pass. You get opening weekend, so sneak in a Saturday there. But in the month of October, you get all of your Fridays as well, and you get the Saturday of Halloween weekend. So there's another bonus. And you get that mystery, the 21st date. So the Frequent Fear Pass, you don't know what's going on at Universal on the 21st. But this pass, you can.
And finally, there's what I call the High Roller Pass.
This is the ultimate Frequent Fear Pass. And for just $284.99, you also get Saturday. So every single night you can go for $285. Not too bad.
Maybe.
But you know what else this pass includes?
Oh, that's right. This pass includes free parking.
No more trying to find a random spot to park and Ubering in or shelling out $20 for parking. So if you're not someone who has an annual pass, this is a really good option. Think about all of the money you save just in parking alone.
For sure.
Amigos, Halloween Horror Nights Frequent Fear Passes are back. Now we have 4 options this year. The Rush of Fear starts at $129.99. And it goes all the way to the High Roller one, which is the Freaking Fear Ultimate Pass for $284.99. But before we dive into these, have you thought about going to the park perhaps for just one single night? Well, good news, amigos. We have the data to help you make that decision.
Amigos, it's data time. What in the world are you looking at? Well, let me share. On the left half of the screen, we have graphed the average single night ticket prices for Halloween Horror Nights, and we've grouped it into the first half of the month and the second half of the month. For now, you're looking at September. So on the left side, we have the 1st through the 15th of September, And for the second half, we have the 16th through the 30th.
Right, and at first glance, it's very obvious. Ticket prices are definitely increasing, right? But you have to remember the quantity of event nights being offered are also increasing. So in 2021, that's this year, HHN 30, the event starts on September 3rd, as opposed to on September 15th, which is when the 2017 event started.
Yeah, so you'll notice that extra weekend provides extra dates, which could go into the average price. But also, there's this huge jump. I mean, you've probably been staring at it this whole time, going from 2019 to 2021. Well, of course, there was no 2020 because that was the pandemic year. But because there was no 2020, there's this pent-up demand, and I think Universal knows that. So look, the average ticket price is always under $100, but 2021 opening night?
Yeah, opening night 2021 is $109, which is crazy because that's usually more of the less expensive night. But just look back 2 years ago, 2019, opening night was, what do we have here? Just
$77.99.
So definitely a big price jump. But again, there was no 2020 price. So I guess Universal is trying to maximize its financial returns. And we're kind of people that we're probably going to buy in.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of more nights, October has way more nights than September.
Oh, for sure. So the event is definitely in full swing by October.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more hype.
A lot more hype, a lot more days added. So Amigos, you can see like there's a lot of Tuesdays and Wednesdays added in the month of October.
And something else that I'm noticing, I would have thought that going around Halloween would be more expensive in the second half. But look, for 2021, there's a huge difference. It's average of $124 at the second half of October, but the first half, that's where it's at. $137 is the average. Wow.
Yeah, and if you look at the individual nights in early October, everything is over $129 all the way to $149.99. Now, my theory behind this is that October, like, that's when spooky season is in full swing, right? So you have a lot of groups, like you'll see later in the video, I talk about my high school experience and how we were bussed up to Orlando to attend this event. So I guess Universal's like, we need to capitalize on these financial gains and maybe charge a little bit more.
Yeah, mid-October seems to be really pricey. So I think you're right. I think that they're trying to anticipate when are the most people coming, and we're going to charge kind of again supply and demand.
Exactly. And if you look at hotel rates for like Cabana Bay or Hard Rock, the first 2 weeks of October are through the roof, as opposed to the last week of September. You can still take advantage of that Stay and Scream special they had. I think like on a Wednesday or Thursday, it's something like $99.99, and then like on Saturday and Sunday it goes all the way up to almost $200 a night.
Wow, that's a great deal. And also, I do want to point out, Halloween still is the expensive night at $139.99. Not the most, because we have about $150 mid-October. And then there are 2 nights you can squeak in there in October for under $100.
But those are Tuesday, Wednesday nights.
So I guess they're not expecting a ton of people to come those nights. All right, next we're going to revisit all of these icons, and we're going to review some of the years that they were popular and a little bit of their history. But don't worry, we're going to keep it PG.
So just in case you haven't seen it, let me show you the preview for the new Icons Captured Haunted House.
For 30 years, they've haunted your thoughts, plagued your nightmares, tortured your imagination. Now they're all back to make your most twisted dreams a reality. We're back. And this time, it's all of us. Together for the first time in one terrifying haunted house. HHN Icons Captured. Only at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. You bring your friends. I'll bring mine.
So first up, we have the Caretaker. And he first appeared in HHN 12. That was the year 2002. And this is my favorite icon of all time. That's right, all time. Because it was the first time I went to Halloween Horror Nights. So I was in high school, and there were these flyers in the cafeteria, and it was like, do you love theme parks? Do you love Halloween? Let us take you to Halloween Horror Nights. Basically, just like that. School finished, and you got in these Mears buses, which are like the coach buses, and the chaperones, the chaperones took you to Universal Orlando. We got off, and they were like, "Be back by 1:30." So it was an epic adventure. I was with all my friends. I was a teenager. I had so much fun. The night ended. The buses took us back home, and then it was like 5 a.m. and you're exhausted. But you know what? You had a Universal time.
Next up is Fear. Coming out in 2010, which was HHN 20, they hashtagged it 20 Years of Fear. Fear had its own scare zone area, and it was in the Hollywood scare zone, which is the biggest scare zone, and that can actually be sometimes the hardest one because there's so much space. But, amigo fact, it ended up winning Scare Zone of the Year.
HHN is just as much about being social as it is about the haunted houses. That year, 20 Years of Fear, 2010, was the first time ever I have heard of the frequent fear pass. Can you believe that?
Did it even exist before then?
I don't know if it existed, but like it barely cost anything. How much did I pay, Justin?
You paid $155.
Yeah, so my friend Ishmael, he would drive up from South Florida like every weekend from opening to close. I mean, when you're in college, like you don't really have any real responsibilities.
And you can like stay out all night and you never get tired.
I don't have a dog. I don't have to go to real work the next day.
Oh, I miss those days. The next icon is the storyteller, aka Elizabeth Strict. She came around in 2005, which is HHN number 15. Neither of us went that year, so we don't know a whole lot. Although I will say, it's this old lady, she tells a really terrifying tale, and you don't want to get to the end of the story because then it is the end. 2011, Horror Nights 21, we see Lady Luck as the icon. That year they returned to Universal Studios, and the slogan was, "Nobody beats the house." Universal decided to leave behind the characters of the past, and they wanted to cultivate some new favorites. And so it's not that she was that memorable of an icon, but we understand why they're bringing her back to the house, because that was an important year where they decided to go in new directions. Our next icon is the director. He debuted in 2013, which was HHN lucky number 13.
That's right, and the icon this year was supposed to be like somebody who is filming a movie at the theme parks. So all the commercials was like the director, and he's like filming this regular nice movie, right? Wrong. It's a slasher flick. And his haunted house that he had was called All Night Die-In. So basically it's a deserted drive-in, which we love going to the drive-in in Lakeland, Florida.
The safe kind.
Right, the safe kind, the Silver Moon. But it's like, it's haunted. Screen is ripped in half. They're playing music by Michael Myers, Friday the 13th. Here's the director. He's just dying to have you in his picture.
The Usher appeared in 2009, which was Horror Nights 19. Even though he was the icon for that year, interestingly enough, he didn't appear on any of the merchandise.
Nope. And neither of us attended that year, so that pretty much wraps it up.
Next.
And then there's Chance. She first appeared as an icon in 2016, or HHN 26. And this was by far the best HHN event we ever attended, like of all time.
Yeah, the houses were legendary. American Horror Story, that was the one with the nuns, right?
Yes.
That was creepy. There was Halloween, Krampus.
Krampus.
Do you remember the smell?
Yeah,
It was like gingerbread.
yeah.
Then we watched the movie later.
And we finally got it. Oh,
The house made more sense.
Yeah. This is Playground.
Yeah, 3D.
3D. You put on the glasses, which I don't usually like that, but it worked.
Yeah, it had like all this neon lighting and UV or black lighting and spinny tunnel.
And we had to like walk. Yeah. I remember just being like, oh my god, I'm gonna collapse.
And there were handrails. Like
yeah.
I needed the handrails.
The first year they did the Scare Actors Dining, which was something like $49.99, and basically
all you can eat buffet in Monsters Cafe, so the food was really good.
And all the monsters would come up to you. You do personalized photo shots. We did a video on that too. I'm gonna put that in the description because I made a music video out of it. It was one of the first ones.
Yeah, it was like pre-Orlando Amigos.
It was.
It was like a long time ago.
It was so much fun. I know they're not bringing it back this year, and I get it. It's hard to staff, everyone that early, especially with the event potentially being limited. We don't know.
Yeah, but our friends, shout out to RJ and Jonathan who were there a long time ago. I remember Chance was there and she made them dance. She was quite a character.
That year there were two shows. Like we always have Bill and Ted.
Oh, I miss Bill and
I
Ted.
miss Bill and Ted. Rest in peace.
Maybe they'll bring them back. I don't know.
But amazing show. But they they started the Academy of Villains.
Yes, the dance troupe. So that was their first year. They had a temporary stage out by Mel's Diner. And this show was called The Afterlife. And this was like, oh my gosh, it was their best show, I think, of all the shows they were there for.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just new and fresh and incredible.
And then there were the scare zones. Oh my goodness.
Those were good.
Yeah, like I remember Vamp 55.
Yes, there was like poodle skirts and jock jackets from the 50s. But not to be confused with Vamp 85 when they did more recently.
Right, it reminded me of like Back to the Future, but like zombies. And then there was the one in San Francisco, the Fisherman's Wharf.
Oh yes, the Dead Man's Wharf.
Dead Man's Wharf, and it was like sailors who got lost at sea.
They had like barnacles and squids.
Hanging out
and
with them, and it was
really creative.
memorable.
Last but certainly not least,
There's Jack.
he is the ambassador for Horror Nights. He is the original icon. What else is there to say?
Yeah, I mean he started it all, right? Everyone knows Jack. It's Jack.
That's why they say, Jack.